The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the small cafe every morning. The sun would gently peek through the wide glass window, landing softly on the wooden counter where Finn stood with his usual shy smile. He wasn't the fastest worker nor the smartest, but he was sincere. Every customer who came to Maple Street Cafe knew him for his humble nature and quiet politeness. Finn was a simple boy, around 23, with brown, messy hair and a hopeful heart. He had grown up in a small town, raised by his grandmother after losing his parents in an accident. He wasn't very clever in studies, nor was he ambitious. All he ever wanted was to live peacefully, work honestly, and make people smile. But not everyone valued simplicity. Finn's friend Liam worked at the same cafe. Unlike Finn, Liam was clever, sharp-tongued, and always searching for shortcuts to success. He could make the boss laugh with a few jokes, flatter customers to earn extra tips, and pretend to work harder than he did. Deep down, Liam was jealous of Finn, jealous of how customers trusted him, how he got along with everyone despite his quiet nature. One day, as they both worked behind the counter, Liam leaned toward Finn and said with a smirk, "You know, Finn, the boss really likes me. He said I might be getting a promotion soon." Finn smiled. "That's great, Liam." "You deserve it," but Liam's smirk widened. "Yeah, I mean, not everyone can handle this job. Some people are just too slow, you know?" Finn didn't reply. He wasn't good at comebacks. Instead, he focused on cleaning the counter and refilling the sugar jars. But those words hurt him quietly. Over the next few weeks, Liam started planting small seeds of doubt in their boss's mind. Whenever something went wrong, a late order, a missing delivery note, or a wrong bill, Liam made sure to hint that Finn might be responsible. "Finn gets distracted sometimes," he'd say casually. "He means well, but you know how he is." At first, the boss didn't pay much attention, but small doubts, when repeated often enough, can turn into suspicion. Soon, the boss began watching Finn more closely. One evening, after closing time, Finn was cleaning the tables when he overheard Liam talking on the phone. "Yeah, don't worry," Liam whispered. "Once he's gone, I'll have full control. The boss trusts me now. He'll make me manager soon." Finn froze. His hands trembled as he gripped the cleaning cloth. His own friend, the person he had shared food with, laughed with, was plotting against him. That night, Finn walked home in silence. His mind raced, but his heart refused to hate. He thought maybe Liam was joking, or maybe he was just imagining things. But deep inside, he knew the truth. Days passed, and the tension in the cafe grew. Liam continued to act friendly in front of Finn, but made sure to push him toward trouble behind the scenes. One morning, the cafe's cash register came up short. Only $20 were missing, but it was enough to cause chaos. The boss was furious. "Who handled the cash last night?" he demanded. Liam quickly replied, "Finn did." Finn's eyes widened. "No, sir. I counted everything before closing." But Liam shook his head, pretending to be sad. "I'm sorry, Finn, but I saw you near the counter after we closed." "Maybe you made a mistake." The boss frowned. "Finn, I've warned you before about being careless. I can't afford mistakes like this." Finn tried to defend himself, but words failed him. No one believed his innocence. By the end of the week, the boss called him into the office and said, "I think it's best if we part ways, Finn. You're a good boy, but this cafe needs someone more reliable." And just like that, Finn lost his job, the only place that felt like home to him. That night, as he walked home under the streetlights, he felt tears well up in his eyes. The cool breeze brushed his face, carrying away the last bit of warmth he had left. He wasn't angry, not yet, just broken. But what he didn't know was that this loss would ignite a fire within him, one that would change. The days after Finn lost his job were some of the hardest of his life. He woke up every morning to silence. No sound of the coffee grinder, no customers chatting, no smell of espresso that had once been his comfort. The little apartment he rented above a bakery suddenly felt too quiet, too heavy. He would sit by the window and watch people rush to work, carrying briefcases, talking on phones, laughing with friends. He wanted that simple happiness again. But every time he thought of the cafe, of Liam smiling smugly behind the counter, a sharp pain ran through his chest. He had no money, no savings. For the first few nights, he barely ate. He tried looking for other cafe jobs, but word spreads fast in a small city. Liam had already told other cafe owners that Finn was careless with money. No one wanted to hire him. It was betrayal layered upon betrayal. One rainy evening, Finn wandered into the city park. The air was cold and damp, and the streetlights glowed faintly through the fog. He sat on a bench, his coat soaked, and whispered to himself, "Why would he do this to me? What did I ever do to him?" There was no answer, only the distant sound of thunder. But as he sat there, something shifted inside him. For the first time, Finn felt anger, real burning anger, not just at Liam, but at himself. He realized he had been too trusting, too soft, too afraid to stand up for himself. He had let others decide his worth. That night, he made a promise to himself. He would not let this be the end of his story. The next morning, Finn walked into a small diner called Eden's Corner. It was older, quieter, and run by a kind elderly woman named Mrs. Clara. She noticed Finn's nervousness and asked gently, "Looking for work, son?" He nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I can clean, serve, do dishes, anything." She looked at his tired face and smiled kindly. "You look like someone who's had a hard week. You can start today." It wasn't much, the pay was low, the hours long, but for Finn, it was a second chance. Every day he worked silently and honestly. He came early, stayed late, and took no shortcuts.
Slowly, the customers began to notice his sincerity.
One man, a regular, often complimented him, saying, "You've got a good heart, kid. Don't ever lose that." But deep down, Finn couldn't forget. At night, when he returned home exhausted, his thoughts always went back to Liam, how he had destroyed his name and stolen his place. He would picture Liam laughing, living easily on lies. Each time that image came, Finn's determination grew stronger. Months passed. Finn saved every bit of money he could. He read books on business, coffee brewing, and customer service. He took online courses on management, watching late-night videos about cafe operations. He wanted to understand what made a place succeed and fail. Then one day, an opportunity appeared. Mrs. Clara fell ill and decided to sell the diner. She trusted Finn deeply by then and offered, "I'd rather sell it to someone who will care for it than someone who just wants profit. If you can gather the money, it's yours." Finn's heart pounded. He didn't have enough savings yet, but he refused to give up. He borrowed from small lenders, sold his old bike, and even took an overnight cleaning job at a factory to make ends meet. After 2 months of sleepless nights and relentless effort, Finn bought the diner. He renamed it the Honest Cup. It was a small start, but it was his. Every table, every mug, every smell of roasted coffee carried his struggle and pride. Soon, customers began to flood in. People loved his sincerity, his calm smile, his homemade muffins. Reviews online praised the Honest Cup as a place that felt real. One evening, as he wiped the counter, Finn saw something that made his heart skip. Liam. He was standing outside, peering through the glass, older now, tired-looking, holding a delivery bag. Finn froze for a moment. The same man who had destroyed his career was now delivering food. To his cafe, fate had come full circle. Finn walked out slowly, his eyes calm but cold. Liam looked shocked. "Finn, you own this place?" "Yes," Finn said quietly. "I built it after you took everything from me." Liam looked down, embarrassed. "I was stupid, Finn. I just wanted success." "I didn't think," Finn interrupted. "You never thought about anyone but yourself." "But look around. You see what honesty can build?" Liam's lips trembled. "I lost everything. The cafe fired me after the money really went missing. I never realized how easy it is to fall." Finn took a deep breath. "Maybe this is your lesson." He handed Liam a small cup of coffee. "Take it, it's on the house." Sometimes forgiveness is the best revenge. Liam stared at the cup for a long time, his eyes watery. As Finn walked back inside, the bell over the door chimed softly. For the first time in years, Finn felt peace. Months passed since that quiet meeting outside the Honest Cup. Liam never returned after that night. But his face, the shame, the regret in his eyes, lingered in Finn's mind. Finn's life began to change quickly after that. The small diner-turned-cafe was growing more popular each day. Local magazines began to feature it, calling it the most honest coffee in town. Customers loved the warmth, the simple wooden decor, and the story behind it, though few knew the real struggle that built it. But even as success bloomed, Finn's nights were restless. He would lie awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about the years he had lost, about the version of himself that had been too scared to speak up, too gentle to fight back. One morning, Mrs. Clara, now recovered, came to visit. She sat by the window with her tea and said with a smile, "You've done well, Finn. You've given this place a soul." Finn chuckled softly. "I just wanted to make something honest," she nodded. "Honesty built this, but peace will keep it. Don't let old anger live rent-free in your heart." Her words sank deep. Finn wanted to believe that he was free from the past, but a small part of him still felt unhealed, still wanted the world to see what Liam had done to him. Then, one evening, fate returned in an unexpected form. A young man entered the cafe wearing a worn jacket, looking nervous. His voice was soft when he said, "Excuse me, are you Mr. Finn?" "Yes," Finn replied. "How can I help you?" The boy hesitated. "I'm Liam's brother." Finn's hands froze on the counter. He hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in months. "He's sick," the boy continued. "He's been in the hospital. I found your cafe's name in his things. He asked me to come see you." For a long moment, Finn said nothing. He didn't know what to feel, anger, sadness, pity. All of them mixed in his chest like a storm. The boy looked desperate. "Please, sir." "He doesn't have anyone else. He said you were the only one who might understand." That night, Finn went to the hospital. The air smelled of antiseptic and quiet pain. In a small corner room, Liam lay on the bed, thin and pale, tubes running into his arms. His eyes opened weakly when he saw Finn. "You came," Liam whispered, voice hoarse. Finn sat beside him. "I didn't come for revenge," he said quietly. "I came to see if you're alive." Liam smiled faintly. "Alive, barely. I lost everything, Finn. The cafe, the house, my friends. I was too proud to ask for help." Finn didn't reply. Liam continued slowly. "You were always the good one. I knew what I was doing when I blamed you. I just wanted to win, but I lost everything that mattered." For the first time, Finn saw not the arrogant man who betrayed him, but a broken human being, drowning in his own guilt. He sighed and said softly, "You know, Liam, when you took everything from me, I thought revenge would make me happy. I worked so hard to prove you wrong. But standing here now, I realize I never needed revenge. I just needed to rebuild myself." Liam's eyes watered. "You did." "You became everything I wanted to be." Finn smiled faintly. "Then maybe that's punishment enough." He stood up and turned to leave, but Liam weakly called out, "Finn, thank you for not hating me." Finn looked back and said quietly, "I don't hate you anymore. I forgive you. But don't waste that forgiveness. Learn from it." As he walked out of the hospital, a strange peace settled over him. For years, his heart had been chained by betrayal. Now it finally felt light again. When he returned to the Honest Cup, he brewed a cup of coffee and sat near the window. The city outside glowed in the golden light of evening. He thought of all the people who had wronged him, and all those who had helped him heal. He realized that revenge had brought him strength, but forgiveness had brought him peace. The next morning, Finn placed a small framed note behind the counter that read, "Life will test your heart, not your pride. Forgive when you can, rebuild when you must." Customers often asked him about the quote. Finn would smile and say, "That's what this cafe is built on." From that day onward, the Honest Cup became more than just a cafe. It became a symbol of resilience, forgiveness, and hope. A year had passed since Finn last saw Liam. The city had changed, new shops, new faces, and 1,000 new stories, but Finn's cafe, the Honest Cup, remained a quiet heartbeat at the corner of the street. Every morning, sunlight poured through the wide windows, filling the cafe with warmth. The sound of clinking cups and soft laughter replaced the bitterness that once echoed in Finn's heart. He often stood behind the counter, watching strangers become friends over steaming mugs of coffee. He had built something far greater than success. He had built peace. One afternoon, a journalist from the City Chronicle came by. She had heard about the cafe's growing reputation, not for its profits, but for the comfort it brought to people. She asked, "Mr. Finn, I've heard customers say this place changes how they feel about life. What makes it so special?" Finn smiled gently. "It's not about the coffee," he said. "It's about people. Everyone who walks through that door is carrying something. A burden, a memory, a mistake. This cafe gives them space to breathe again. The journalist leaned forward. Is this philosophy based on something personal? For a moment, Finn hesitated. Then he nodded. Yes, once I was betrayed by someone I called a friend. I lost my job, my dignity, and my faith in people. But that pain taught me who I really was. I rebuilt everything from the ground up, not with anger, but with honesty. The interview was published 2 weeks later with the title, The Cafe That Forgives, How One Man Turned Betrayal into Hope. The story went viral. Customers began to travel from faraway towns just to meet Finn and hear his story. Some came in tears, others came in silence, but all left lighter than they arrived. One day, as Finn wiped down the counter after closing time, he found a small envelope left near the register. Inside was a letter in shaky handwriting. Dear Finn, I read your story in the paper. I'm writing from the hospital. I don't have much time left. I just wanted to say thank you. You taught me what forgiveness feels like. I hope someday someone remembers me not for what I did wrong, but for what I tried to make right. Liam. Finn sat quietly for a long time, the letter trembling in his hands. Tears welled up, but this time they weren't from pain. They were from peace. He went outside, looked up at the night sky and whispered, You're forgiven, Liam. Truly. That night, Finn locked up the cafe and took a slow walk through the quiet streets. Every sound, the hum of traffic, the laughter of strangers, felt alive, full of stories. He realized that life would never be perfect. People would still betray, still hurt, still make mistakes. But what truly mattered was what came after, the courage to forgive, to rebuild, to move on without losing your heart. In the weeks that followed, Finn started a small program called Second Chances. It offered part-time jobs at the Honest Cup to people who had lost work due to mistakes or bad luck, ex-employees, dropouts, single parents, or anyone who needed a fresh start. The cafe became a family. It wasn't fancy, but it was full of warmth, where broken souls found purpose again. One evening, a young man named Ethan, one of the new hires, asked, Sir, how do you stay so calm after everything you've been through? Finn smiled softly. Because anger only burns you, son. But kindness rebuilds you. Ethan nodded, still unsure, but Finn could see a spark in his eyes, the same spark he once had. Years later, the Honest Cup became more than a coffee shop. It became a place where people left messages on a wall, stories of loss, love, forgiveness, and hope. One note read, I came here broken, but I'm leaving healed. Thank you, Finn. Finn would look at that wall every night and smile. He didn't become rich, but he had something far better, a legacy. A story that began with betrayal had ended in forgiveness. A heart once filled with pain now overflowed with peace. And as the city lights shimmered through the windows, Finn whispered quietly to himself, Sometimes, the worst endings are just the start of the most beautiful beginnings.